Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all the honor, glory, and praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors in respect to the elders and to the apostles of the Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity, and unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning, and unto the Bayat of Dabadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. Okay, so this evening's lesson is going to go into, battling wicked thoughts that come to your mind, when you come into this truth, you're going to be vexed on all levels. Being vexed by, family members who don't believe, co-workers at your job, and just people in the world. When you come into the truth, you have to bear that cross that, you're in a, that, when you come to serve the Lord, as the scriptures say, prepare thy soul for temptation. Sirach chapter 2, verse 1, roughly paraphrase it, And temptation goes into that vexation because you're going to be dealing with things that are, that are going to be upsetting, things that are going to test your patience. There's going to be things that, there's going to be things that you're not going to like dealing with, but you got to deal with it. It's part of the conditioning. Okay? So, keeping your mind sound and battling these wicked thoughts. So we're going to go to Ephesians. It's going to be the book of Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 10. And it says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Verse 11, put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. And when you go into the word wiles, that goes into his devices, his craftiness, his little schemes, his snares, his traps, anything that he does or tries to do to get you to fall off from the truth. Verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So, being in captivity under Esau, Edom, the elite of the wicked, those are those principalities and powers of darkness and the rulers of darkness of this world. Spiritual wickedness in high places, because these people know who we are, and the fact that we are, coming back to who we are as a nation, as a people, knowing that we're Hebrew Israelites. They do whatever it is that they can within their power to keep us down. They try hard to get us, to make us forget about who we are and whose we are. They pray on the left-hand side to demons. And these demons, ultimately it's Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, but controlling them. But, these wicked elites, they pray to these entities, for malicious purposes, to vex us, to cause us to slip, in some way, shape, or form, man. And that's why you really gotta immerse yourself in these scriptures, be of a sound mind. I'm gonna get the book of I'm gonna get the book of Numbers, chapter 24. Numbers 24. Numbers 24, verse 20. And it says, and when he looked on Amalek, Amalek being the grandson of Esau Edom, who is also the progenitor of the Amalekites. And the Amalekites are the elite of the Edomites that are in the land right now. Those black cats, the Jewish. And it says, and when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. Okay? So the latter end of Amalek is that he shall perish forever. And you can read about that in the book of Obadiah, of what is to become of Esau, Edom, and his descendants. Okay? And meaning the first of the nations, he was mighty. He had that power. Okay? Because he's in charge. He's of the elite. Okay? Going back to Ephesians chapter 6. And you know, Amalek, him being the elite of the Edomites, he don't even care about his own people, the lower level of his people. You know, if you care not for your own people, who will he care for? Ephesians 6 and 13. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. So the whole armor, talking about this word, okay, talking about the knowledge, wisdom, understanding of these scriptures. You know, as the Isaiah chapter 33 verse 6 says, you know, thy wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. And because of that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of the time, you shall be able to withstand in that evil day. And that evil day is Jacob's trouble. And having done all to stand. You know, doing all that you can within this time that we have before all hell breaks loose, you know. Getting this wisdom, you know, eating the whole roll while you can. Okay? Going down to verse 14, and it says, stand therefore having your loins girt about with truth, having on the breastplate of righteousness. So, stand therefore, you know. You know, stand as a man and let your nuts hang, you know. Be proud of this truth, you know. Be a true believer of this truth, you know. Regardless of what other people say, think, or however they look at you. Remember, this world is in gross darkness under these man-made philosophies. Okay? These people have no understanding at all. None. But Yahweh Shai gave us understanding. Okay, I'm going to go to Genesis Genesis chapter 15. Excuse me, allergies are flaring a little bit. And I'm a little exhausted from work. This is Genesis chapter 15, verse 5. And it says, "And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now towards heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be." And the Lord was talking to Abraham when he said this. Verse 6, "And he believed in the Lord Yahweh, and he counted it to him for righteousness." So Abraham was counted for righteousness because he believed and had faith in Yahweh, as should we. Okay. Now I'm going to go to James 2 and 23. And it says, "And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed the Most High, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness, and he was called the friend of Yahweh." Okay? Abraham was faithful to Yahweh from day one, even to the end of his own life. Okay? And he was called a friend of Yahweh because of his faith, his obedience, and his trust in the Lord. And we'll read verse 24 because this is going to say much, because a lot of these wacky-tacky Christians think that just by having faith and being saved is good enough, and it's not. Verse 24, "Ye see then how that by works a man is justified," or works meaning his actions and his deeds, "and not by faith only." So, yeah, you can have faith, but without, roughly paraphrasing, faith without works is dead. Okay, you can say you believe, but you have to show your belief in faith through your actions and your deeds. That is how a person is justified, by his deeds, not just by faith alone. Okay, next is gonna be Romans chapter 3. Excuse me. Romans chapter 3, verse 3. "For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect?" Verse 4, "The power forbid. Yeah, let the power be true, but every man a liar, as is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged." Okay? So what if some didn't believe? Okay, we have unbelievers, but that doesn't make the faith of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshua without effect. Okay? This isn't for everybody. Only a small handful will truly believe, while the rest, as the scriptures say, let the Most High be true. He's not a man that he should lie. Okay? "And as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged." That justified in thy sayings, your works, your actions, your words, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. That you know that you may be counted worthy. Okay? Next, we're going to go to the book of John. John chapter 4. John chapter 4, verse 22. Okay? And it says, "Ye worship, ye know not what. We know we worship, for salvation is of the Jews." And the term Jew is just another word for Israelite. Verse 23, "But when the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him." Verse 24, "The power is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth." Okay? So coming into this, you have to be in that spirit, be in the spirit of meekness, humility, sincerity, and truth. Okay? Because, when Yahweh Shem Yahshai wakes you up to this, you have to, put off the old man and put on the new man. Excuse me. And also, scriptures say that when you become a man, you put away those childish things, those worldly things, those things that are vain and they don't matter. Okay? Now we're going to go back to Ephesians chapter 6. All right. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 15, and it says, "And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace." Verse 16, "Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked." 17, "And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of the power." Okay? This word is a weapon against the wicked. Okay? We don't have to physically or carnally take up arms. No. All we need is this word. The Bible is a true living book, and it's also a spiritual weapon that can cut through, as a matter of fact, I know a scripture about, yep, there it is. The book of Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 4. Hebrews 4 and 12. And it says, "For the word of the Most High is quick and powerful, and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of thoughts and intents of the heart." Okay? So, this word is a true weapon here. It can hurt those that are against you, but at the same time, if you're not careful, it can hurt you too. That's why, we have to be in the spirit, be on our A game. And how do we do that? By fearing the Lord. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Okay? And he seeketh those that fear him. And those that fear him, he will guide them. All right? Going back to Ephesians again. All right, this is going to be Ephesians chapter 6, verse 18. And it says, "Praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints." So, pray without ceasing. Rebuke rebuking the end, you know? Pray without ceasing. Always pray. Fast, pray, you know, and rebuke. Correct those that are in the wrong. Okay? We are about our Father's business after all. This is verse 19. And for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel. Okay? The Lord gave us that utterance, okay? That we speak boldly within the multitude of the people out there in the highways and byways to make known the mystery of the gospel. And you know, we don't, like I said before in one of my previous lessons, we are not people pleasers. We're not here to cuddle your feelings. We're not here to give you those soft, sweet, kind, loving words. No, we're here to tell you the truth, and the truth is meant to tell you like it is. And a lot of people in the society can't handle it. They can't handle the truth. Okay? This is going to be the book of Romans. Romans chapter 7. Romans 7 and 12. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good. 13. Was that then which is good made death unto me? The power forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me, that by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. Okay? So, the commandment, the law, statute, commandments, this word in its entirety, which is good, was not made, it wasn't made to, it was made to give us life, not death. In fact, this is what keeps us from death. Okay? So, you know, this, like I said, this book is the guide to life, to live, and to do right, to be right, to act right, and to think right. Verse 14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. You know? Verse 15. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. Okay? So, you know, being in this flesh, we are subject to sin. Okay? You know, we refrain ourselves from doing things that the flesh has a desire for. Okay? We refrain ourselves from those things. And we do things that the flesh is against. And that's part of the process of disciplining ourselves. You know, whenever you feel tempted, like you're about to go off, you know, that's that moment where, you know, you pray. You know, pray that Yahweh Shemir Shai removes that wicked demonic spirit from you. And that you can, you know, be in your right mind and stay sound and sane. Okay? Verse 16. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. So, by, like I said, refraining ourselves from doing which we, you know, what the flesh that wants or desires, you know, that is good. It shows that you have discipline and control. You know, and, you know, discipline is something that we all have to work on. And we're going to need it. Okay, this is going to be Romans. Okay, this is going to be verse 17. Romans 7:17. Now then, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. 18. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing, for to will is present with me. But how to perform that which is good I find not. For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Now if I do that I would not, it is no more that I do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. Okay? So, that's part of, like I said, the spirit versus the flesh, man. In the spirit, we were fighting against this flesh constantly. And anything that you do that goes off, that's the flesh, man. And, these feeble bodies of ours, like I said before, are subject to sin. So they're designed to go off. No matter how much you discipline yourself or how much you try to fight it, eventually, we're not perfect, but, we're going to slip up. Just means that there's room for improvement. And that's part of, faith. Gotta have faith, because right now, the society we're in, man, there is just so much that could just, like I said, there's just so much that could really just throw us off. That's why you just gotta watch yourself, man. Okay, this is gonna be the book of James. It's gonna be the book of James, chapter 1, verse 8. And it says, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So, being a hypocrite or saying one thing but doing another, being a hypocrite, that means that you're not sure of yourself. It goes to show that you don't have a definite, you don't have really a definite, what's the word I'm looking for? Better yet, basically, to put it in an easier way, like you don't really believe in what you're saying, or you don't go by the rules in which you try, or which you, by which you make, or so to speak. And people who are double-minded, those kind of people, you can't trust them, because they have no understanding. They have no sure way for themselves. They don't have really they don't have the truth here. They don't have the way that can set them straight, get them out of that double-minded spirit, that hypocrite spirit. Excuse me. Okay, this is going to be, I'm going to drop down to verse 12. It says, blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. So, enduring the temptation, enduring these trials and tribulations that we are to go through in this time, man, in our own individual lots. It's like I said, everybody has their own lot to fulfill. Ultimately it's all through the will and power of Yahweh by Shemi Shai that, that you make it or you don't. But if you endure the temptation for when you are tried, you shall receive that crown of life. When you come into this, your eyes, the prize that you should have your eyes on is, that crown. As Elder Amawang Gabar says, get down for your crown, man. If that crown really means something to you, fight for it. Verse 13, it says, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High, for the power cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. So, the Lord does no evil. Well, okay. So, when it says, I am tempted of the Most High, you can't blame the power. So, because Yahweh Shem Yahshai cannot be tempted with evil. Neither he tempteth any man. These temptations, they're all in place. It's just that, do we have what it takes to, resist, endure? Okay. In verse 14, let me get the book of Sirach. Sirach, chapter 15, verse 11. Sirach 15 and 11. And it says, say not thou, it is through the Lord that I fell away, for thou oughtest not to do the things that he hateth. So, you can't say that, if something happens to you, and if you fell away, you can't blame the Lord. You only have yourself to blame. You only have yourself to blame. That's why it says, for thou oughtest not to do the things that he hateth. So, if you do something that goes against the Lord's word or will, and it's something that he hates, whatever happens to you, it's on you, not him. You can't blame him. As they say, take responsibility for your own actions. Verse 12, say not thou, he hath cursed, or he hath caused me to err, for he hath no need of the sinful man. Verse 13, the Lord hateth all abomination, and they that fear the Most High love it not. 14, he himself made man from the beginning, and left him in the hand of his counsel. 15, if thou wilt to keep the commandments, and to perform acceptable faithfulness. Verse 16, he hath set fire and water before thee, stretch forth thy hand unto whether thou wilt. So, fire and water meaning, good and bad, basically. So, set forth thy hand unto whether thou wilt. So, whatever you choose to do, as they say, your actions have consequences. So, that's why they say choose wisely what you're going to do or what you will say. And think carefully of what move you're going to make, as we should all be careful, and especially in these times, of what we do. Verse 17, before man is life and death, and whether him liketh shall be given him. So, if you like life, don't depart from this truth. If you love death and be a part of this world, go do whatever it is that you want to do, whatever your flesh wants to do, and ultimately get destroyed for it. Verse 18, for the wisdom of the Lord is great, and he is mighty in power, and beholdeth all things. 19, and his eyes are upon them that fear him, and he knoweth every work of man. So, the Lord knows who generally fears him, and he knoweth the deeds of everybody. He knows what people are doing, even though they think that they're not being noticed, or they think that they're unseen, or think they're getting away with something. The Lord sees what they're doing. Verse 20, he hath commanded no man to do wickedly, neither hath he given any man license to sin. Okay? The Lord gave us license to do righteousness. Okay? He didn't give us the right to go off and do whatever it is that we want. No. The Lord has things in order for a reason. And he has rules, laws, statutes, and commandments in place for a reason. Okay? Okay, now we're going to go back to James. James chapter 1, verse 14. And it says, but every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Okay. Verse 15. Then when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. Okay. Because that's where sin leads right to. Death. And when a man is overtaken by his lust or desires, carnal desire for something, it causes him to stumble, and ultimately, it could lead to his downfall. Verse 16. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Verse 17. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Okay? There is no deceit. There is no deceit or wrongdoing with the Father, Yahweh. It's all righteousness. Verse 18, of his own will beget he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. And Lord willing that we are the elect, which is the first fruits. Those that were chosen before the foundation of this world, man. It's amazing, and at the same time, it just makes you just want to cry tears of joy and longing, just hoping that you were amongst those that were with Yahushua when everything was being, created. Were you there in the beginning? Were you amongst the first fruits? And that's it's scary because you hope that you were, and you hope that you are. Okay, now it says, 19, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. 20, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the power. 21, wherefore, lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness and in the engrafted word, which is able to save your souls. So, the Lord demands that you humble yourself. The Lord demands humility. Okay? He hates pride. He hates it. Excuse me. The Lord hates pride. Verse 22. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So if you're about this truth, then be about it through your actions and your deeds. Show it. Once again, faith without works is dead. Okay? Going back to Romans chapter 7, verse 18. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. You know, this flesh, like I said, it's designed, it was purposely designed by the Father to go off. Okay? It can't, it's a feeble vessel. It's not righteous. It's weak, subject to sin, you know, and it can be tempted. Okay? That's why, you know, in here, our true heart, which is our mind, where the Spirit layeth, this is how you conquer, with your mind. Okay? We get this is going to be Isaiah chapter 64 verse 6. And it says, "But we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags. And we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities like the wind have taken us away." Okay? Our righteousnesses are as filthy rags. We are all unclean. Okay? We're not perfect. We aren't really blameless at all. Okay? That's why the Lord has given us this grace period to get right. You know? This is the time where we should be doing our absolute hardest and our absolute damnedest to do the best that we can, to the best of our ability, to be approved, you know, to show you how about Shem Shai that we are sincere. Okay. Now, going back to Romans here. Excuse me. Let's see, Romans. Romans 7 and 19. It says, "For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do." Okay? Talking about, you know, the flesh, and you know how, once again, it's designed to do the things that we don't want to do. Verse 20, "Now if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me." Okay. 21, "I find then a law, that when I would do good, evil is present with me." 22, "For I delight in the law of the Most High after the inward man." Okay, that inward man is talking about the spiritual man. Okay, the true man, who you really are. And yeah, when you do good, evil is present with you because, like I said before, this is a fight, man. To do righteousness, you're battling against evil spirits, you know, demons, you know, that plague your mind, that, you know, that your flesh gets tempted. And of course, people of this world, that evil is always present, man. And you gotta have Yahweh Shem Yahshua to combat that evil. In verse 23, "But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin which is in my members." 24, "O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? Okay? And these bodies are the chains of darkness, man. These feeble, unclean, abominable bodies, you know, they're a prison for us to learn our lesson. Verse 25, I thank the power through Yahweh Shai HaMashiach our Lord. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of the Most High, but with the flesh I serve the law of sin. So with the mind, you know, we serve Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and His word, His doctrine, His law. But with the flesh, we serve the law of sin, because our flesh is combating against our spirits on a daily basis. Okay? This is, let's see. All right, and I'm going to get Hebrews. In fact, let me get, before I get Hebrews, let me get 2nd Esdras. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 7, verse 56. Excuse me. Give me a second. Excuse me. I had to blow my nose. Allergies are really messing with me. Okay. Slakia. So this is going to be 2nd Esdras chapter 7, verse 56. It says, for while we lived and committed iniquity, we consider not that we should begin to suffer for it after death. Verse 57. Then answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle. Okay? The condition. Okay? This is what we have to go through. You know, whatever our lot may be, we have to go through it. Okay? That's the only way you're going to get through. You have to go through it to get to the ultimate, you know, to get to the finish line. And Lord willing, that the finish line for us is being of the chosen and being on a chariot and not getting destroyed here. Okay? The condition of a battle, which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. Verse 58, that if he be overcome, he shall suffer, as thou hast said. But if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. Verse 59, for this is the life whereof Moses spake unto the people while he liveth, saying, choose thee life that thou mayest live. Okay? Choose life that thou mayest live. What, I mean, roughly paraphrasing, what profiteth a man if he choose the world? You know? What are, like, is it worth really, is this world really worth giving up your own soul to death? Yeah, sure, the things in this world may seem fun, may take some stress off of you, or whatever it may be, but it's all vain. You get nothing out of it. Okay, now I'm going to get Hebrews chapter 10. Hebrews chapter 10. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 26. And it says, for if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sin. So if you willfully go against this word, you really have no excuse. You got to pay for it. No excuse. When the Lord gave you this knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and you still willfully sin, you have to pay for it. That's just how it is. You got to pay for what you've done. Okay? Now we're going to go to Galatians. This is Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Okay? Keep thine eyes single. Focus on Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. You won't have to worry about, fulfilling the lust of the flesh, because your mind is focused on what is necessary. That you forget about all that other bullshit. Verse 16. Verse 17, sorry. Verse 17, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. So there are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Okay, so let me read that again. Verse 17. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Okay? Once again, this is a battle between the spirit and the flesh. So we are at war with even ourselves. We are at war with even ourselves. A fight for self-control and discipline. Because the spirit wants to do right, but the flesh wants to do otherwise. Verse 18. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. Lasciviousness. 20. Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies. 21. Envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Okay? But going back to verse 18, but if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Okay? If you're led by the Spirit, you're basically doing what you're supposed to do, and you don't have to suffer for it, because the Lord will reward you, because you're in you're in that right sound mind. Okay, now we're going to go to the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 26, verse 41. And it says, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. The spirit is stronger than the flesh, and we can overcome our flesh You know, some people, you know, some people that let's like say for a worldly sense, like people that want to change their lives around and do better, like to get rid of one addiction or one habit, the change doesn't just happen overnight. It takes time. And the same thing with this in a way. Change takes time, and that's part of the build-up. The build-up of getting better. Excuse me. Excuse me. So, change takes time. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. There has to be a time for a build-up and doing better and becoming better. It's just not something that's just going to happen within a day or a week or a month. It takes, of course, through progression with time, yeah, you do get better, but for that full change to come into effect, it has to take a good long time. Okay, now going to Romans 2:11. Romans 2:11. For there is no respect of persons with the Most High. Okay? So there's no respect of persons. So it doesn't matter whether you're man, woman, child, or infant. There's no respect of persons. There is no favoring. There is no... It's as simple as this, it's, do you comply or not? It's either you are with Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai or you are against him. The Lord doesn't cut anybody any slack. Verse 12. It says, for as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law. And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. So if you're in this and you know the law, statutes, and commandments, if you have sinned in the law, you shall be judged according by the law. And for those who have sinned without the law shall also perish without the law. Okay? That didn't have this knowledge, wisdom, understanding like we do. They perish without the law. 13. For not the hearers of the law are just before the Most High, but the doers of the law shall be justified. So those who, through their actions, their deeds, are justified by the law. Or shall be justified before the Most High, Salakia. Verse 14. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, these having not the law, are the law unto themselves. So the Gentiles talking about the heathen. Okay? So they don't have this like we do. Because it's not for them. It was never meant for them to begin with. Do by nature the things contained in the law. Because if you know, a lot of these other heathen nations, a lot of their laws and customs come from the Bible, which is the customs and laws of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Our customs, our laws, our ways of life. Salakia. My allergies are bad. Excuse me. But, so it says, these having not the law are a law unto themselves. So they're a law unto themselves. They take away from the Bible and they twist it and make it into their own. And that's what these other heathen nations have done. Excuse me. Verse 15. Which showed the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts the meanwhile accusing or else excusing one another. In 16, in the day when the power shall judge the secrets of men by Yahushua HaMashiach, according to my gospel. Verse 17. Behold, oh wait, hold on. Salakia, before I get that, let me get actually, Salakia, I went a little too far on that one. So, so Yahweh through Yahushua is going to judge. He's going to discover the secrets of men, and he's going to ultimately judge them. Okay? Everyone's going to go through that trial, that tribulation, that judgment, you know? And Lord willing that we will have the Wa, which is the the exemption from judgment. You know, Lord willing. Okay, let me get Wisdom of Solomon here. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 13. It says, "For what man is he that can know the counsel of the Most High? Or who can think what the will of the Lord is?" Verse 14, "For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices are but uncertain." Verse 15, "For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind that museth upon many things." So, you know, roughly paraphrasing, the Lord says, you know, my thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. I am from above, and you are from beneath. So are my thoughts than your thoughts. Okay? We cannot think on the level or know on the level of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. There's just no way. Verse 16, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 16, it says, "And hardly do we guess aright at things that are upon earth, and with labor do we find the things that are before us, but the things that are in heaven, who hath searched out?" Verse 17, "And thy counsel, who hath known, except thou give wisdom and send thy Holy Spirit from above?" Verse 18, "For so the ways of them which lived on the earth were reformed, and men were taught the things that are pleasing unto thee, and were saved through wisdom." So those who lived on earth and walked in the ways of this world, they were reformed. Reformed meaning, you know, to be retaught. And they were taught the things that are pleasing unto the Lord, and were saved through wisdom, which is this word here. All right. Going back to Matthew chapter 26, verse 14, it says, "Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Okay? So pray, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. Stay in the spirit, man, because, you know, in the times that we're living in, you know, all it takes is one slip up, and that could be your ass. Okay? This is going to be Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 12. It says, "For the bewitching of naughtiness doth obscure things that are honest." Okay? "And the wandering of concupiscence doth undermine the simple mind." So, bewitching of naughtiness doth obscure, or, you know, the bewitching, which is the twisting of things, of naughtiness, doth obscure meaning to to hide away, or to turn to darkness things that are honest. Okay, so deception can, you know, obscure things that are honest. They can, you know, That's why, and it says, in the wandering of concupiscence, which is, that strong desire of the flesh, doth undermine the simple mind. Okay? That's why you have to exercise self-control, self-restraint, so that you don't be overcome or enticed or led into worldly philosophy or worldly lusts. In verse 13, going to Sirach 25 here. Sirach chapter 25, verse 13. And it says, give me any plague, but the plague of the heart, and any wickedness, but the wickedness of a woman. Okay? And the mind, the heart is, roughly paraphrasing, the heart is desperately wicked. Who can knoweth? Who can knoweth it? You know? And any plague or any wickedness but the wickedness of a woman. And we all know what women are about in this modern day and age. Her mind is as snares and nets. Okay? These women are nothing but a distraction, and they can ultimately be trouble. That's why the best thing to do, as the scriptures say, it's better to not touch a woman, just meaning leave these women alone. This is going to be the book of 1 Timothy. First Timothy chapter 1, verse 5. And it says, now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned. Okay, charity, being love, and being loving and kind, and, merciful. Verse 6, and it says, hold on a second. Salakia, that was the wrong one. Hold on, let me get Salakia. I thought, but to the point, yes. But let me read that one more time. 1 Timothy 1 and 5. Now the end of the commandment is charity, out of a pure heart, and of a good conscience, and of faith unfeigned. Verse 6. From which some, having swerved, have turned aside unto vain janglings. Okay? So, some have turned aside, turned away from, from being that, from having a loving and kind demeanor and being, merciful to those that are needy, and have become selfish, corrupt, and just, prideful, and just mocking and scoffing, looking down upon others. That's not how we're supposed to be. But let me get the correct script that I meant to get, which was Titus chapter 1, verse 5. And it says, for this cause left I thee in Crete, that thou shouldest set in order the things that are wanting, and ordain elders in every city, as I had appointed thee. This is from Paul to Titus. In verse 6, if any be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accused of riot or unruly, for a bishop must be blameless, as the steward of the Most High, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, nor no striker, not given to filthy lucre. So, To be blameless and to be a steward of the Most High, not to be self-willed, not doing things of your own accord, because there is an order to things. Okay? And you have to get in line. Wherever Yahweh Shema Shai points you and places you. Not soon angry, not letting your emotions get the better of you. Not given to wine, talking about that philosophy of the world. No striker, not given to filthy lucre, so not being someone who's short-tempered, likes to let their fist do the talking. Someone who doesn't get rowdy or roused up. Not given to filthy lucre. Doesn't give their mind over to money, not trying to chase that bag. Verse 8, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, holy, and temperate. 9, holding fast the faithful word, as he hath been taught, that he may be able to, by sound doctrine, both to exhort and to convince the gainsayers. Okay? To exhort and convince the gainsayers. To persuade the gainsayers of the sound doctrine here. Okay? Through the fear of the Lord, we persuade men, right? That we persuade men to, forget what you think you know and listen to what the Lord has to say. Because this is what's going to save you. Verse 10, it says, for there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision. And we all know who those are. These are the Israelite groups like IUIC, ISUPK, Sakari, and etc. And we all know who the groups are. Verse 11, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake, for the sake of money, for the sake of worldly gain. And that's not what this is about. It's not for popularity. It's not for money. It's not for worldly gain. Okay, this is to find and bring back the lost sheep, the sincere believers and followers of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. That's what this is about. We're not here for excuse me. We're not here for attention or competition or nothing like that. We're here for the Lord and to bring back the lost sheep. Verse 12. One of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said, the Cretians are always liars, evil beasts, slow bellies. 13. This witness is true, wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in faith. So liars, false accusers, bear false witness, evil beasts, and slow bellies. Slow bellies mean, slow to learn. Evil beasts just mean unruly, abominable. And we are to rebuke them sharply, to correct them, get on their ass and let them know that what they're doing is wrong. And see, the thing is that it's not that we're trying to act more holier than thou. We're just that we are being held to a higher standard, and we have to follow that higher standard. And according to that standard, we have to get people on the same level of that standard. Okay? We're here to tell you that you have to get yourself ready, because Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is coming back. He is coming. He is making his return. So we want to make ourselves ready by, doing what is right, being in the right mind, being of the sound doctrine, and following the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, like we're supposed to. Verse 14. Not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. So that worldly shit, the philosophies, science, lores, fables, all that crap. 15. Unto the pure all things are pure, But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled. Yeah, because they follow after the ways of this world. They follow after the ways of man. They don't follow after the ways of the Lord. They are carnal minded. 16. They profess that they know the power, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work a reprobate. So they think they know, but they really don't. If they did know, then why are they doing all these things that are contrary to the scriptures? They don't know the Lord. All right, so now we're going to go to 2 Timothy. Second Timothy, chapter 1, verse 6. And it says, wherefore I put thee in remembrance, that thou stir up the gift of the Most High, which is in thee, by the putting on of my hands. Verse 7. For the power hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. Okay? So, he's given us the spirit of power, of love, and of a sound mind. So, of power, courage, love, kindness, and of a sound mind, being in the right spirit, knowing the right doctrine. Verse 8, and it says, be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of our Lord, nor of me his prisoner, but be thou partaker of the afflictions of the gospel according to the power of the Most High. So be a partaker. Be a partaker, okay? Yahushua went through the hell of being mocked and scoffed, persecuted, being called every name in the book. Be a partaker of the afflictions of the gospel according to the power of the Most High. Okay? So what if people look at you funny or look at you different or talk shit? Let them mock and scoff. Because at the end of the day, they're when all hell breaks loose, Jacob's trouble, they're the ones that are going to be in a full panic mode. Us, we, Lord willing, we'll be, kept from the said perils. We'll be the ones laughing at them. Lord willing. Verse 9, it says, who hath saved us and called us with an holy calling, not according to our works, but according to his own purpose and grace, which was given us in Hamashiach Yahushua before the world began. Okay, a holy calling. However the Lord woke you up, whether it be by the hearing of the word on YouTube, or from a friend, or from a stranger, so on and so forth. However the Lord woke you up, it was according to his own purpose and grace. Okay? And this grace is basically a mercy period. Okay? We all have a job to do. So let's do it with all that we can. Alright, this is going to be 2 Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 1. And it says, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, and by our gathering together unto him. Verse 2, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Hamashiach is at hand. Verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Not falling away first is talking about a rebellion. And it could also go into, people that have been in this, but yet they step out. And that son of perdition, we all know who that is. That's Esau, Edom. Verse 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called the power, or that is worshipped, so that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the power, showing himself that he is the power. You know, that's talking about Esau, Edom's pride. And his own pride is going to be his own downfall. Verse 5, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. Verse 6, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Okay, so Yahweh Shemel Shai is the one that's in control. He's the master chess player. Esau, Edom, in his own pride, thinks that he is the one running the show, but the Lord is putting it, the Lord is the one controlling him. The Lord is just putting it into his spirit to think that he's the one that's in control, but he's not. Verse 7. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. So, right now, Yahweh Shemel Shai is the one that's controlling this devil, Esau, Edom, according to his purpose. Okay. Esau, like, it's all through the will and power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Remember, the deceiver and the deceived are his. And hath not the potter hath power over the clay? Okay. Now, we're gonna go to Colossians, the 2nd chapter. This is gonna be Colossians 2. Colossians chapter 2, verse 18. And it says, let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility, and worshipping of angels, intruding into those things which he hath not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. Okay? So let no man deceive you of your reward. Okay, because we could have people that act like they believe in this, but really they have they have some ulterior motive. They're not genuine, they're not sincere. So those people you really gotta watch out for. And you also got to watch out for those that are in the truth. As the scriptures say, roughly paraphrase, mark them that cause division. Okay? Okay, now we're going to go to the 1st chapter of Colossians. It's going to be Colossians chapter 1, verse 9. And it says, for this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you, and to desire that ye might be filled with the knowledge of his will, in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. Verse 10, that ye might walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing in the knowledge of the Most High. So from the day we woke up and heard this, do not cease to pray for yourself. Philippians 2 and 12, roughly paraphrase it, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And this is the start of it. And to desire that ye might be filled with the knowledge of his will, in all wisdom and spiritual understanding. That the Lord open up your mind so that you can get this truth and understand what his word is really saying. And that ye might walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work. And, Lord willing, that the Lord increases us in these days. these last days. Verse 11, strengthened with all might according to his glorious power, unto all patience and long suffering with joyfulness. So, going through what we're going through, pray that, we be strengthened with all might according to his glorious power. And to, this thing is also about patience. And, patience, the word patient means to suffer. Verse 12, giving thanks unto the Father Yahweh, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light. Okay? So we are to be partakers of that inheritance of the saints in light, be partakers with Yahweh Shai. And, experiencing what he went through back then, what he went through is what we're going through. And, persecution is right around the corner. So we have to prepare our minds for that. Some of us are going to lose our lives. Excuse me. Verse 13. Who hath delivered us from the power of darkness and hath translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son. Okay? So pulling us out of that darkness, that veil of darkness where we were, spiritually dead, having no knowledge, wisdom, or understanding of who we are and whose we are and what was really going on. And being translated into the kingdom. We are to be in that spirit and that clean, and we are to be, as the scripture said, to be born again of the Spirit. Okay? Because when the Lord takes you out of this darkness, out of this world, and he brings you into this marvelous light, the truth, you're basically starting off with a clean slate. Regardless of whatever you could have done in the world before you came into this, you're starting off with a clean slate. Verse 14, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins. Verse 15, who is the image of the invisible power, the firstborn of every creature, Yahweh Shai. So through him, that we have the remission of sins, redemption through his blood, to be redeemed unto Yahweh. Okay? So it's through the Son, man. The Son gave his life for the nation of Israel, yes, but mainly for the elect. Think about it. Someone who gave his own life for you. And now that you're in this truth, you have to really consider that, man. Giving your life for a whole nation, that is not a light thing. That's something you really have to take into consideration and know what it really means. Okay, Colossians 1:16. For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. Okay? Verse 17, and he is before all things, and by him all things consist. So Yahweh created Yahweh Shai, the very first spirit, created by him, and he gave his Son the blueprint to create everything. The angels, the powers that be, the elect, and so on and so forth. In verse 18, And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. So Yahushua gets first dibs on everything. He is the firstborn of Yahweh and the firstborn from the dead. And Yahushua kept the law perfectly. So, you know, he did what he was supposed to do. And now look at him. He's sitting at the right hand of his Father. And as the scriptures say, all power is given unto him in the heaven and the earth. So right now, through his Father, Yahushua has that power and authority. So right now, Yahushua is in the judgment seat. Yahweh is just, he's like, my son's got this. My son's got it. He can handle this. So the one who is passing out judgment right now through the will of his Father is Yahushua. Okay? That's why we are to fear not just the Father, but fear Yahushua, the Son, as well. We have to fear them both. And this is going to be verse 19. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. 20. And having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself, by him I say, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. 21. And you that were sometimes alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now hath he reconciled. Okay? And when you reconcile, you know, you are being made friends again. To be made friends again with the Lord. To be reconciled means to be brought back into the fold. You know? 22. In the body of his flesh through death, to present you holy and unblameable and unreprovable in his sight. 23. If ye continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel which ye have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven, whereof I, Paul, am made a minister. So, if you continue, you know, and be not moved from the hope of the gospel, man, you know, be thou faithful unto death, and I shall give thee a crown of life. Once again, get down for your crown, man. Whenever you are being tempted, or if you're being vexed, man, just think upon that crown that is waiting for you. Think upon that crown. Think about that crown. And think about how much it really means to you. Because we all want to get that right there, you know, of course, being chosen and being beamed up on the chariots to escape ultimate destruction, yes. But that crown, honor and glory. Okay? This is Ephesians 4:17. It says, This I say therefore, and testify in the Lord, that ye henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk, in the vanity of their mind, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of the Most High, through the ignorance that is in them because of the blindness of their heart. So, that we are not to walk as other Gentiles walk, in the vanity of their mind. And that Gentiles here in this particular sense is talking about as other Gentiles, talking about the other Israelite, the other Israelites, Israelite foreigners, because like that's the 2/3, they are blinded, they are ignorant and being alienated from the life of the Most High. Why? Because they chose to serve the world. They are of the world. Ultimately, it's talking about the 2/3, yes, because they walk in the vanity of their mind, that pride, that pointless that pointless thinking that will get them nowhere, having the understanding darkened, being alienated, being basically rejected from the life of the power through the ignorance that is in them because of the blindness of their heart. Because a lot of our people, the 2/3, they lean upon their own understanding. Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding. So the 2/3, they lean upon their own understanding. They think that they know what's right, but really they don't know anything. They are blinded by their pride. Okay, this is going to be verse 19. And it says, who being past feeling have given themselves over unto lasciviousness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. So there you go. They've given themselves to the lust of the flesh. Okay? Carnality. The worldly desires. Verse 20, but ye have not so learned Hamashiach. Verse 21, if so be that ye have heard him, and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yahushai. Verse 22, that ye put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, the you that was in the world, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. Verse 23, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind. 24, and that ye put on the new man, which is after the power is created in righteousness and true holiness. Verse 25, wherefore putting away lying, speaking every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. So put away the false accusations, the shit talk, the false talk, and all of that. Put away all of that stuff. You're not that same person. Because when you are called into this, you're not going to be the same. Verse 26, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Verse 27, neither give place to the devil. So, don't allow yourself, don't allow, as the scriptures say, he that is slow to anger is of much understanding. You cannot allow yourself to be pissed off about something all day, because when you're angry, that brings in that negative energy, and it gives place to the devil to try and tempt you to do something that you wouldn't do if you were in your right mind and you had self-control. Okay. Now going to verse 28. Excuse me. Verse 28. It says, let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth. So let him that steal no more. Okay, stealing is a temptation and it's a sin, one of the 10 commandments. but rather let him labor, working with his hands, the thing that which is good, doing honest work, that he may give to him that needeth. Okay? Doing, labor, hard labor builds character. It does. It really does. Verse 29, it says, let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Okay? So no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth. Don't try to mislead or twist words around or misguide. Be truthful and honest, as the scriptures say. Which is good to the but that which is good to the use of edifying. So use good communication, not corrupt communication. Edify, enlighten those that are willing to listen and hear. Verse 30, and grieve not the Holy Spirit of the power, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. Okay? Verse 31, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. Okay? So let go of all that negativity, man, because I'm speaking for myself first and foremost. Fighting, talking about anger, holding grudges, being bitter and jealous about things. Even when I was in the world before I came into this, I was beginning to realize that this stuff is all this negative emotions and feelings, man. It wears you down. It destroys you. And it just makes you feel like shit. You got to learn to let it go. Verse 32. It says, and be ye kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Yahweh, for Hamashiach's sake, hath forgiven you. Okay? Oh gosh, roughly paraphrasing. It says, reward no man with evil, but rather give reward no man with evil, but rather give place. I can't remember the scripture, but roughly paraphrasing, vengeance is mine, I will repay. Thus saith the Lord. Okay? That's why, no matter how much it may piss you off that a person may have wronged you or did something that made you feel some type of way, it's in the Lord's hands. Let him deal with it, because the moment you try to take matters into your own hands, that's where, it could be that, even your own anger is a snare. It is a trap. That's why you have to learn to just control yourself. Okay, this is going to be the book of Ephesians, going to the 2nd chapter. Ephesians chapter 2, starting at verse 1. And it says, and you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins. Verse 2, wherein time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Okay, so yes, once upon a time, we were spiritually dead. We didn't know any better. And we walked according to the course of this world. Being in that worldly mindset, whether it be chasing the bag or smoking weed or whatever. There was a time that we were in that state of mind, but the Lord woke us up out of that. All praise to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai for that. Now, this is going to be in verse 3. Among whom also we all had our conversation in times past, in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. And we were in that mindset when we were in the world before we came into this. A lot of us were. Verse 4, but the Most High, who is rich in mercy, for his great love wherewith he loved us. Verse 5, even when we were dead in sins, hath quickened us together with Hamashiach. By grace ye are saved. And that's not saying that by grace that, okay, we're saved, so we could still do whatever we want, and we got the Lord's the Lord say so. But no, that's what these wacky tacky Christians misunderstand. This is a grace period that we're in, and the only reason why we are still breathing is because the Lord has allowed us to get right before he could still knock us off at any moment or time. It's just that during this grace period, we have the opportunity, the chance to turn ourselves around and to do better in his sight. Okay, verse 6, and hath raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in Hamashiach Yahushai. Verse 7, that in the ages to come he might show the exceeding riches of his grace in his kindness towards us through Hamashiach Yahushai. Okay? So, through, raise us up. We if we continue in this, Lord willing, that we make it, and that we will be shown the exceeding riches of his grace in his kindness towards us through Hamashiach Yahushai. That's why, we have to continue in this faith. It's only going to get harder. It's only going to get harder. And, and the scriptures say that some shall depart from the faith. That's why you have to, if you're not rooted in this by now, then chances are it's going to be extremely hard for you later. Because Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua is going to test us to the max and then some. Okay, next is going to be 2 Corinthians. Second Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1. And it says, now I, Paul, myself beseech you by the meekness and gentleness of Hamashiach, who in presence am base among you, but being absent am bold towards you. Verse 2, but I beseech you that I may not be bold when I am present, with that confidence wherewith I think to be bold against some which think of us as if we walked according to the flesh. Verse 3, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. So Paul was given, was made a minister. He was given the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding by Yahushua to understand and know the deep, dark sayings, the mysteries, the parables of this book. And he had to walk in a meek and humble spirit. He could not be proud about it. He had the knowledge, he had the wisdom, but he had to be humble about it. He couldn't, as I say, knowledge puffeth up. And it does. The more you know, it brings about that sense of, it could bring about that snare of pride. Thinking that this and that, but you gotta stay in that humble spirit, In verse 3, I'll read again. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. So, yes, we walk in this flesh, but we do not war after it. We do not seek after it. Okay? We do what we can to resist Verse 4, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the power to the pulling down of strongholds. Verse 5, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach. Okay? So the weapons of our warfare are not spiritual, are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High, spiritual. And that's through this word, man. This word is what pulls down strongholds, breaks people, casts down imagination. And eventually it's going to bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach. Because once again, this is the truth, and the Lord is a man that he should not lie. And he's not the author of confusion. And people will learn. In that day, people will learn. And they will adhere to the law, statutes, and commandments, and they will know Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh. They will know to fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6. Chapter 6, verse 16. And it says, for she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. That's talking about wisdom. Verse 17, for the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. And love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption. And incorruption maketh us near unto the power. Verse 20, therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. Verse 21, if your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. So, if you truly desire this knowledge, if you truly desire, to be, as the scriptures say, if your delight be in thrones, scepters, kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. Okay? Choose wisdom, which is life, because wisdom is the answer, and it is the key. Wisdom. Okay, we're gonna go to Book of Romans, the 14th chapter. Romans 14 and 5. One man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. In verse 6, he that regardeth the day regardeth it unto the Lord, and he that regardeth not the day to the Lord, he doeth not regard it. He that eateth to the Lord, for he giveth the power thanks, and he that eateth not to the Lord, he eateth not, and giveth God thanks, and giveth the Most High thanks. So, every day, every day you should, regard every day and give thanks unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Praying over your food, praying for the Lord to get you through the day. Prayer prayer is part of building up faith, and it's something that's ultimately going to help you, because you know when that time comes, you're going to need prayer more so than ever. Pray, pray, pray. And I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. I need to pray more. I need to fast more. Study more. Stay in the spirit, not allow myself to get lackadaisical. Okay? Romans 14, and it's going to be Romans chapter 14, verse 7. For none of us liveth to himself, and no man dieth to himself. Verse 8, for whether we live unto the Lord, and whether we die unto the Lord. Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's. Okay? Whether we live or die, we belong to the Lord. We belong to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? We should, that's point blank period, No man liveth to himself, no man lives for his sake. You live, nor die for his sake. You live and die for the sake of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? Because he's the one that controls both life and death. Verse 9, and it says, for to this end Hamashiach both died and arose, and revived, that he might be Lord both of the dead and living. That right there just says it. Lord of both the dead and the living. Okay, now we're going to go to the 12th chapter, Romans chapter 12, verse 1. And it says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the power, which is your reasonable service. And that's what the prophets do. We risk our lives and our freedom to do so in these last days. Why? Because we do not give a damn about this world. Okay? We are giving up everything for the Lord. Okay? Our livelihood, ultimately our life. And that's what it's going to come down to. And the Lord is going to reveal that in these last days. When Jacob's trouble goes into full effect, we're going to see, he's going to see if you are truly with him and for him or not. Verse 2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good, that acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. So don't conform to this world. Separate yourself from it, because the word holy means to be separate. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and do that which is good, which is follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. We're not going to get it all perfect, but do what you can and give it all you got. Okay? Okay, now we're going to go to the 8th chapter of Romans. Romans 8, verse 5. And it says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. 6. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Verse 7, because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, for it is not subject to the law of the power, neither indeed can be. So, verse 8, so then they that are in the flesh cannot please the power. So to be carnally minded is death. To be spiritually minded is life and peace. So to be spiritually minded is being life and peace. So yes, we're gonna have to go through this hell. That's the path to paradise begins in hell. So, you know, you have to fight. This is a fight. Okay. Verse 9. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of the Most High dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Hamashiach, he is none of his. Verse 10. And if Hamashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the Spirit is life because of righteousness. Okay? So it's all about the Spirit, man. We are to not mind the things of the flesh, man. Now we're going to go to James, the book of James. James chapter 4 and verse 1. And it says, from whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence even of your lust that war in your members? 2. Ye lust and have not. Ye kill and desire to have and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not. Verse 3. Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lusts. So, when you ask for something, you have to ask, excuse me, with good intentions and sincerity. You cannot ask for something and be of that carnal mind. You can't, you have to ask with pure intentions, not carnal ones. Okay, because the Lord knows what's on your mind. And he knows your intentions. So you can't fool him. Verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? So being of this world, you're practically, you're an enemy. You're an enemy of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai if you're a friend of the world. Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of the Most High. Verse 5. Do ye think that the scripture saith in vain, the Spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth to envy? Excuse me. Verse 6. But he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, the Most High resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Verse 7. Submit yourselves therefore to the Most High. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. So, if you submit yourself unto Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai and follow after him and resist the devil, he will flee from you, because he now sees that he can't get to you. He can't get you to go off because you're in your right mind and you're doing what is supposed to be done. Verse 9, or verse 8. Draw nigh unto the power, and he will draw nigh unto you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinners, and purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Verse 9. Be afflicted and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to heaviness. Okay? So being in this truth, you know, it's gonna be it's not a light thing. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard because the Lord is gonna test you to see if you're really about this. I mean, sure, there's a balance to things, yes, but you cannot forget what you're involved in. You cannot forget that, and what it entails and what it means for you. Verse 10. Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up. Humble yourselves. Okay? Throw away that pride, man. Throw it away. It is not worth it. Okay, we're going to go to the book of Mark. This is the book of Mark, chapter 5. Mark chapter 5, verse 2. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. Verse 3, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, not with chains. Verse 4, because that he had been often bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the shackles broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. Verse 5, and always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs crying and cutting himself with stones. Verse 6, but when he saw Yahushua far off, he came and worshipped him. Verse 7, and cried with a loud voice, and said, what have I to do with thee, Yahushua, thou Son of the Most High Yahweh? I adjure thee by the power, that thou torment me not. Verse 8, for he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. Verse 9, and he asked him, what is thy name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. Verse 10, and he besought him much, that he would not send them away out of the country. Verse 11, now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. Verse 12, and all the devils besought him, saying, send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. Verse 13, and forthwith Yahushua gave them leave, and the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000, so 2,000 pigs were choked in the sea, so they drowned. Okay? This person that Yahushua had freed from that spirit, he was vexed. And in these last days, man, a lot of people are going to be under the influence of a lot of demons, doing some crazy things, possessing superhuman strength, going crazy, doing the absolute wildest things, causing harm to others, inflicting themselves. And this man, even though he was vexed sorely by a demon, possessed by a demon, he believed in Yahushua, and the Lord, cleansed him of that spirit. Okay? And verse 14, and they that fed the swine fled and told it in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what it was that was done. 15, and they come to Yahushua, and see him that was possessed with the devil, and had the legion sitting and clothed, and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Okay, and they begin in verse 7, and they began to pray him to depart out of their coasts. And 18, and when he was come into the ship, he that had been possessed with the devil prayed him that he might be with him. Verse 19, howbeit Yahushua suffered him not, but saith unto him, go home to thy friends, and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on thee. Okay? Like as I said before, we are vexed by demons on all levels here, even in our mind. And demons can take possession of somebody, causing them to err, go off and do things that, that are contrary to what they should, to what they, to what they should do, ultimately losing your damn mind. Excuse me. So, verse 20, and he departed and began to publish in Decapolis how great things Yahushua had done for him, and all men did marvel. Okay? So that man, being grateful to the Lord for, relieving him of that demonic spirit, and going to tell everybody, what happened and how it happened and who did it, It is through Yahweh Bashem Yahushai that we should all give him praise for the things that he does for us. The only one who's worthy of that praise is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, not man, not woman, not no animal or some false idol made out of wood and stone. It's Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay, this is going to be the book of Job. It's going to be Job. Job chapter 4. Excuse me. Job chapter 4, verse 12, and it says, Now a thing was secretly brought. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. Verse 13, In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on man. Verse 14, Fear came upon me and trembling, which made all my bones to shake. Excuse me. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice saying, Shall mortal man be more just than the Most High? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? So, nobody is above Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay? I don't care who they are or what they've done in their life. Nobody is above the Lord. Okay? Nobody is more righteous than he is. He is perfect and man isn't. It's just that simple. And it's through the fear of the Lord that we dare not speak highly of ourselves or anybody. Okay, now we're going to the book of Psalms. Psalms chapter 56. Excuse me. Psalms chapter 56, verse 1. And it says, Be merciful unto me, O power, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresseth me. Verse 2, My enemies would daily swallow me up, for they be many that fight against me, O thou Most High. And our enemies continue daily to keep us down. The heathen nations, the wicked, they fight daily to keep us under them. Verse 3, What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. Verse 4, In the Most High, I will praise his word. In the Most High, I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me. Roughly paraphrasing, fear not the one who can kill the body, but rather fear the one that can destroy both body and soul in hell. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Verse 5. It says, every day they wrest my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. 6. They gather themselves together. They hide themselves. They mark my steps when they wait for my soul. Verse 7. Shall they escape by iniquity? In thine anger cast down the people, O power. So that's why the scriptures say we are to walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because these days are evil. Okay? And the wicked seeketh to slay at the righteous, man. Esau, Edom, big brother E is always watching, as well as these other heathen nations, but mainly evil E. He's always watching. He's always waiting for us to slip up, just so he can capitalize and all that. Okay, verse 8. Thou tellest my wanderings. Put thou my tears into thy bottle. Are they not in thy book? When I cry unto thee, then shall my enemies turn back. This I know, for the Most High is with me, is for me. So if the power be for us, who can be against us, right? So, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, this is where faith comes in, man. You have to have faith. Without faith, it's impossible to please Him. So in verse 10 it says, in the power will I praise His word, in the Lord will I praise His word. Verse 11, in the power have I put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me. See? Verse 12, thy vows are upon me, O power, I will render praises unto me. Verse 13, for thou hast delivered my soul from death. Wilt not thou deliver my feet from falling, that I may walk before the power in the light of the living? Okay? So, we are to put our faith and trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, that He's going to deliver us from not just temptation, but death, and whatever situation that we may find ourselves in. It's having that undeniable faith and trust that the Lord's got our back, and He's not gonna just let us. He's not gonna let us fall. Not gonna let us slip. He's not gonna let anything happen to us. You know, and when Jacob's trouble starts, man, once it goes into full effect, you better hope and pray that the Lord is going to be with you. And there's going to be times where it's going to seem like Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai has just left you there, but He's testing you. He is testing your faith. You're going to need faith more now, more so than ever. Okay? Got a couple more scripts and I'm going to close out. This is going to be the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 16. Proverbs 16 and 3. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. Okay? Dedicate yourself to this word, and thy thoughts shall be established. Okay? Dedicate yourself to this knowledge, this wisdom and understanding. Okay? Make this thing your utmost passion. Immerse yourself into it. Embrace it. For this is life. Going to Proverbs chapter 21, verse 5. It says, the thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but everyone that is hasty only to want. Okay? The thoughts of the diligent, okay, those that are passionate about this truth, tend only to plenteousness, which is the abundance of the word, man. To seek more wisdom and knowledge and understanding. You know, roughly paraphrasing, seek ye the kingdom first, and all these things shall be added unto you. Okay? But of everyone that's hasty, only to one, those that are impatient. They're those that are impatient and don't know how to be patient, they're only to one. They're not they're not gonna get what they're looking for, because this thing requires patience, and if you don't have patience, then this is not for you. Let me get Proverbs 25, and there we go. This is it says right here. Okay, so it says, Proverbs 25 and 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. So if you have no self-control, you're like a city that is broken down without walls. You are basically vulnerable in a sense that you could fall into a snare and ultimately get into trouble. Okay, this is going to be Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 14. And it says, O Jerusalem, wash thine heart from wickedness, that thou mayest be saved. How long shall thy vain thoughts lodge within thee? Okay? How long shall thy vain thoughts, those meaningless, pointless thoughts, dwell within thee? Like, why are you thinking about this? This doesn't matter. This shouldn't even come into your mind. And that's part of the condition of the battle. Wicked ass thoughts that just enter into your mind. For the mind is desperately wicked. Who can really know it? Who can knoweth it? That's why not only do you have to discipline yourself physically, but also have to discipline yourself mentally and ultimately spiritually. Okay, let's go back to Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 26. And it says, that he might sanctify and clean it with the washing of water by the word. Okay? In fact, let me go up a verse. And it says here, verse 25, Husbands, love your wives, even as Hamashiach also loved the church, and gave himself for it. That verse 26, that he might sanctify it and cleave it and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. So this word is the living waters, and this is the true baptism. Verse 27, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish, meaning being blameless. All right. This is going to be Psalms, excuse me, Psalms 119. Psalms 119, verse 9. And it says, Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. Verse 10, With my whole heart have I sought thee. O let me not wander from thy commandments. Verse 11, Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. So by taking heed thereto according to the word, it's fear. Fear is what makes you take heed. motivates you to do the right thing, to do what is necessary. And what's necessary for us is to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. And, have this word hid in our heart and our mind, kept in our mind, that we might not sin against thee, because we don't want to displease or anger Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? Now we're moving on to the book of John. John chapter 15. John chapter 15, verse 3. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Verse 4. Abide in me, and in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. So the branch cannot bear fruit unless you abide in the Lord, which is by this word, man. Because this word bears fruit as long as we are humble and sincere, and we teach the right doctrine as we are supposed to. Abide in the Lord, man. And verse 5, it says right here, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. So, that right there says it. That says it all. And last time I finished with this, 1 Corinthians 9 and 27. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. So, once again, discipline, discipline, discipline. And we have to lead by example, which requires discipline. Because, we don't want to be profitable to others, but become unprofitable to ourselves. That's part of being double-minded, in a sense, So, the best way to battle these wicked thoughts is with this. This is it. And pray, fast, study, get more into this as we're getting closer and closer to the end of this. We have to be more into the word. Okay? And I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. And I hope that this lesson was edifying unto the body and to those that are new coming in, listening and learning with all sincerity. I'd like to give all the honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh B'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors and respect to the elders and to the apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to all Akim that are preaching and teaching this word with 100% truth and sincerity. And unto the men, women, and children that are listening and learning. And unto the Baith Dawadah, the elect house of David that is scattered abroad, I give you my utmost and sincere salutations. See you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Kwam Yasharallah wa Abba Babal. Shalom. Barakatham.